And good afternoon to everybody this afternoon. I am so thrilled. You see how excited I am because I'm talking today, guys, about identity. I'm talking today about what has happened to Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. And for a lot of people, they see that as something really, really sad. Yes, there's a sad part of it, but there is a joy in it, because I tell you, this 150 million people, okay, in the African diaspora. Did you know that there were that many? 150 million people are in the African diaspora, spread all over the world. The largest population being in Brazil. Yes, and spread all over the world. And so I'm speaking to that 150 million today. Those who are watching me on YouTube, those who are watching me on Caribbean, good afternoon to those on Caribbean, watching from all the various Caribbean countries. Welcome, 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 welcome. And as I always say, you make sure you go and you call that neighbor and you ask that neighbor to turn on the TV. If you're watching regular TV, all right, call your neighbor, say, turn on Caribbean. The Marcia Week show is on. Yes. And I just also want to welcome those almost 2 billion, 1.4 billion Africans in the African diaspora. That's how powerful we are, guys. Look at the numbers. 150 million of us that were brought over, descendants of those who were brought over on those slave ships. Huh? All over the world. We are scattered. And we're going to talk about who those people are, that 150 million people, who they are. And what does that have to do with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West? What does that have to do with them? So I'm going to ask you to share. Please, 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 please share and let somebody know that that we are on today, Please share, people. All right. Now, I have as my guest today Nigel London. Nigel London from Guyana. And as he's getting ready to come on, I must say that we're also going to be talking about what I and others are calling the modern day lynching and buck breaking of these two American men. And the question is, will Black America sit by helplessly and watch? And furthermore, will the 150 million of us in the diaspora who came over on the slave ships, are we going to sit back and watch this? Huh? Are we going to sit back and we're going to watch it and say, interesting. Wow, how is this going to end? Are we going to sit back and allow this to happen? And before Apostle Nigel comes, let me just define some of these terms that we are using. So to lynch, you would have heard the term lynch. It's basically to kill someone, especially by hanging, for an offense without any legal trial. All right. So what is happening now? How does this compare to what is happening to these two young men, Kanye and Kyrie? Is that what's happening? There's a trial. The media has tried them. They're being tried in the media. Huh? And you say, well, they didn't physically kill them, but think about it. They are seeking to take away their livelihood. They're being beaten, their spirit, they want to break their spirits, right? So that's a lynching. And by the way, did you know that the word lynching came from a man who was a planter? One of the persons that it was named after is a man that was a planter here in Barbados. Yes, William Lynch. William Lynch was a planter in Barbados, and he went to, in the South, he went to the Americas to help them to keep their enslaved people in line. And so that's part of where you get the word lynching from, right? Now, buck breaking, it's the alleged act of publicly punishing a male slave, typically first by flogging the slave and subsequently sexually assaulting or raping him in front of other slaves in order to humiliate him. Now, you ask yourself again, did anybody flog KYRIE? Did anybody flog Kanye? Huh? What do we call flogging? Is it literal taking the whip and as they had it with a rope and they beating you in front of people? Is it that, or is it what they're doing to him? Look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. He's losing money that he needs to take care of his family. His integrity is being maligned. His reputation is being maligned. Is represented as someone who hates people. That all of these things are being put forward about him in the media, and being put forward about Kanye, that he's crazy. And what did they do? What did they do? KYRIE, in search of his identity, he put in his name in the search engine, and here comes up this movie, Hebrews to Negroes, right? And he watches it, and it impacted his life. He felt he somehow found his identity, his ancestry, and so he posts it on his social media page. He didn't write it. He didn't distribute it. He didn't produce it. How many of us, we like a song and we just put up a song? It doesn't mean we necessarily like everything in the song, but yet still he's been publicly humiliated for this, and they want to continue, right? They want to continue. It was supposed to be a minimum of 5 games. Well, the 5 games are gone, and he's still not playing. He's still not playing because they want him to do all of those other things on the list. I think there are 5 more things on the list that he has to do. One of them is to donate 500,000 to some organization, and he donated, and they gave back the money. So they're not. What are they really after? They're making sure he's flogged publicly. And so the question is, are we going to sit back, the 150 million strong of us here in the diaspora whose ancestors came over on the slave ships? Are we going to sit back and we're going to watch this happen, play out before our eyes? What about the 1.4 billion people that these 2 guys are connected to in Africa? What is your response? Very, very important as we watch this buck breaking and this modern day lynching of these 2 young men. Yes. So let me just bring our Apostle Nigel London in. Hi, Anika. Hi, Anika. Welcome. Please share. Apostle London, welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Thank you so much. Greetings to you and to all of those who are viewing, listening. I'm certainly grateful for the opportunity to share this moment with you. A very sensitive matter, highly important to us as Hebrew and African people, as some are labeled. And I'm grateful that you've taken the mantle, as always, to lead the charge in this regard, or to be among those who are leading it. Thank you very much. And I'm honored to be here with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Apostle Nigel London. I know you're hailing from Guyana, beautiful yes. Guyana, with some, wonderful people there. And I know you've been watching the news and seeing what is happening to our brother Kyrie Irving, and also Kanye West. They're in the U.S. These are 2. One is a basketball player. Kyrie and Kanye, he's in entertainment, a rapper, and in fashion and media. And I mean, he's so gifted, so very gifted. What are your thoughts about what is happening to them?
Thank you. Before I do that, I shared the broadcast. I don't know if you can see, but Facebook has restricted it, saying it's nudity. So that's yes. So I just want you to know what I'm dealing with and what you're dealing with.
Yes.
So the image of a slave or a young man being tied to a tree and beaten constitutes what violates Facebook's community standards regarding nudity and sexual activity. But in relation to your question, I when I first saw what was happening to Kanye West, because he was the first one to have the encounter, I was not surprised in any way, because Kanye has, for want of a better term, pushed many buttons, and he thrives on doing that. He says things as he sees them, and in his mind, apparently, based on what I'm seeing, he's of the view that he was free to say many things based on what he had going for him, which would be the Yeezy apparel line, as you spoke about earlier. He was deemed recently the wealthiest black man, and I do not use that term to describe myself, in the USA. So he was confident, and in the click of a finger, everything crumbled because of who he began to address. The first thing I wanted to pay attention to is the fact that Kanye had said many things before. Kanye even said that slavery was a choice that was made by people, and nobody did anything to him. Kanye said that George Bush doesn't like black people. That was not a problem either. He was on the side of Donald Trump, saying that, listen, everybody.
Could you hold a minute there? I'm going to just address the viewers. Anika and everybody who's watching, we are having a challenge on Facebook because I'm talking about lynching, all right? And I'm not afraid to come up against these big people here. But I'm going to ask you all to share the live in WhatsApp, all right? So if you share it in WhatsApp, it's a YouTube link, it will be fine. So share it in WhatsApp, avoid Facebook completely. And please help us out, because we don't have, I know people are watching via KYRIE Vision right now. So, but in terms of social media, we're having a block because of the picture and the topic that I'm dealing with. But this is so important. All right, but continue, Apostle London. Thank you.
Yes, you're most welcome. Thank you. And so Kanye West was I mean, he encountered the ire of many people. Persons are upset with him for saying quite a few things. Specifically speaking, the Hebrew or the African community, they were, because he said that slavery was a choice that people made, and he couldn't get his way out of that. But no one canceled Kanye, as it's called. Nobody did it. Adidas didn't retract their contractual arrangement with him. Balenciaga and these people, they continued to deal with him. It was not an issue when he spoke about people that look like us and himself. But the moment he began to tread on the ground of those who are called Jewish people, immediately, without even taking a deep breath, they went for his throat. And that speaks highly to what the reality is for all who are melanated, as I see us to be, and have what they call kinky hair. There is a direct message being sent via what's being done to Kanye West. And that is, you are free to despise your own people. You are free to say whatever you want as degrading as possible to your own people. But you dare not say anything to those who are called the Ashkenazi, who are called the Jews, and who are called by me and others imposters in reference to the covenant that Yahweh has made with his people.
So before you go on there, though, can I say I've read Kanye response to the slavery comment, and I think he, what he said, and I'm going off what he said, he meant by that is that our response to slavery is a choice. Right. Exactly. And so he further went on to qualify that statement, where Kanye is saying, I'm saying it is our response to slavery is a choice, which to some extent that is true.
Because what he was saying, I understood what he meant, but I'm saying many people didn't take it for what it was. He was saying that you don't have to sit back for 400 years and be treated in a particular way. You had the right to react to it in a manner, if you had an issue with it, that is.
Yes.
More so when they're trying to pile on, as he thought he could do, when they're trying to pile on things on you to press you down, you have to resist it. You have to collate with those who are like you and build empires among yourselves. That's what you thought about doing. But it wasn't received in that manner. And those who saw what he said and heard what he said, I'm speaking to Adidas and these companies, they didn't have an issue with what he said. They didn't tell him, listen, you have to go fix this, or we're going to discontinue the contract. But no. But the moment he said something in reference to the Jewish people, they did not even have a conversation with Kanye West. they immediately began to terminate arrangements, to drop him from their endorsements and so on. Because the message is clear that if you say things to hurt your own people, that's
Yes.
you all can figure that out. You can all decide how you deal with it. But if you only touch what Americans have labeled the untouchables, who are the
Correct.
Jewish people, we shall come for you. Because last I checked, the Jews control about 33%, about 1/3 of the US economy. So they're very wealthy people. And they have positioned themselves to control narratives. They are known to be very, very steeped in media, in television and so on. So they know how to control what people hear and what people see.
Yes.
And they know how to make a point based on what people hear and what people see. So with Kanye West, he was chosen to be sacrifice number one.
Yes.
But they're going to do whatever they want to do to this African-looking man to send a very clear message that although he's deemed the wealthiest African American, and they call him wealthiest Black person, you are never too big to be brought to nothing in their eyes. And that's the message sent through him. Then along came Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving, and that's why I look at Kyrie's matter in a much more detailed, focused, and passionate way. Because Kyrie did not say anything initially to the detriment of a people. He simply shared a link. That's the first thing. He didn't comment on the link. He shared a link to a movie, as you would have addressed on the previous matter. And that led to a whirlwind. Why?
Yes.
Kyrie never even expressed his views on the matter in sharing on Twitter, just a link. And he was deemed irresponsible. He was deemed anti-Semitic. He was deemed to be one who's propagating and promoting hatred because the movie contained racist tropes, as they said. Now, how can that be in this era where Kyrie did it, but Jeff Bezos, who people should know by now, he still owns Amazon. Jeff Bezos, on whose platform this movie is streamed and the books are being sold, they never, up until recently, said to him, you have this on your platform, we're going to deal with you. The Anti-Defamation League didn't go after Bezos and so on. They went after Kyrie Irving. What is the point?
Can I say something to you, because I know
Yes,
the filmmaker very well, Mr. London, and you know he is a very, very good friend of mine. Dave and I, we actually watched that movie. My husband and I watched that movie about 2 years ago, and up until last week when Vimeo took it down, we had bought a copy of it, and we had it. And my husband probably watched it about 5 times, and myself about 2 times. And at no point did we see anything that the filmmaker himself was saying that was anti-Semitic. I'm a filmmaker, and whenever you do a film, especially a documentary, you're bringing all views, right? And so what he was doing was bringing all views, right? But that was not what the documentary was about. The documentary was simply about our identity as the 150 million of us who are over here in the diaspora. That's the essence of the documentary. And Ronald Dalton, this amazing filmmaker, a Christian man, is not anti-Semitic at all. In fact, he's saying, how can I be anti-Semitic when I can't be against myself, And exactly. so I just needed to say that, because there's a lot that is being said up there, and I'm not understanding how filmmaking is done, especially documentary. Apostle London, you have to look at all angles,
Correct.
And so that's what he was presenting up there. Yeah.
And to that I agree wholeheartedly. However, and because I know that you're unafraid to be provocative at times, or every so often, even if it were, and that's the point I'm making, or would seek to make today on Carrot Vision and on your show, even if Ronald intended to be anti-Semitic, my point is there are people who say they're Jews or Hebrews or whatever they say they are, that have the means to counter that claim by producing on a much wider platform, because I said again, they control mass media. They have the ability to produce, to say, listen, this is out here, And these are the points made in this movie that are anti-Semitic, that are untrue, and that are totally unfounded. And here we have a counter to that in reference to a documentary or just commentary. They didn't do that because they don't intend to address what it is. They intend to demonstrate through Kyrie Irving what they will do to those who agree with anything that's contrary to what they accept. That's the whole point. This is not about an information or misinformation matter here. This is about making a point to a people that you are not going to stake claim to being Hebrew because to them you're not Hebrew. That's what this is about. And
can you repeat that? Repeat that, because
yes, ma'am.
I don't think people understand that. I wanted to repeat that, and then we're going to delve into this Hebrew thing and why it matters to them that this, that we do not believe this and this truth doesn't come out. Can you repeat what you just said here, Apostle London?
Thank you, my sister. The argument from the end of those who call Jews, I call them Ashkenazi, that's who they really are, is that this is not about the content of what is being demonstrated or the movie here. That's not what it is. It's about, through Kyrie Irving, they'll make a point that you dare not say that you are Hebrew. Because once you do that, then you have a right to Abraham's blessing. You have a right to make a claim that you belong to the group that are called those who are chosen by Yahweh, those who are chosen for a particular blessing, and those with whom Yahweh has covenant. Their point is that whether the movie has got racist tropes or not, no African-looking person must stand to say, I am Hebrew, and I'm therefore a child of covenant. That's the point they're making through Kyrie Irving. Hence they say, listen, apologize for what you said. In essence, apologize for saying that you are Hebrew and that we're not. Apologize for saying that you have got the rights to certain things based on what the movie is saying. Apologize for saying that genetically speaking, you've got a legacy within you or lineage you're part of that really speaks from the Bible as it's called. Apologize for all of these things because you offended us by what you said. And this one is huge because they're saying that the movie denied the Holocaust, or saying that the Holocaust was not denied, but it was orchestrated by the Jews. And I said something on my broadcast, and so which I repeat here. This is not wordplay, as they call it. It's very serious statement I'm making. The Holocaust, was it about the Germans killing Jews or the Germans killing Hebrew people? There's a difference. Who did the Germans kill? Jews or Hebrew people?
Interesting.
That would be, it is.
Interesting. So let's define, because of what you're asking, define who is a Hebrew. In your definition. You are an apostle, you're a pastor. Some people understand the word pastor. You have a congregation in Guyana. Yes. And can you, in your, what are you saying? Because here, this is not a show of hate or anything. You're just this is based on your research. And I think that's what the movie is doing, is differentiating the Hebrews from the Jews. Can you do that for me, please, sir?
I shall. And we must be free to speak to matters that are thought-provoking. Yes. And once you do that, in reference to ethnicity or religious groupings and others things, you be labeled racist and all the rest of it, because personal, and that's what I'm to Kyrie. They do not want a degree of truth to come to the table. Now, why did I speak to the question regarding Germans against Jews or Germans against Hebrew people? The by definition, I put it about 100 years or so ago, the Germans, a German man defined a Jew by how people looked. Those who are Caucasian and so on, who they had in the concentration camps and these things. Hence, the term anti-Semitic was coined or targeted to mean, it wasn't coined to mean just these people, but they said we're going to restrict the term to mean only those who look like those who were slaughtered in the Holocaust and so on. And they're called Jews. However, the Hebrew people are not called Jews indeed, because even those who are Caucasian looking, said that there are many in Africa, like the Igbo tribe and so on. There are many people in Africa, even some in India, who are melanated people, brown, dark-skinned people who were once enslaved, and these people are truly Hebrew. They didn't say they're Jews. Because the country shows writing in Romans, and it goes even further by definition. To the Roman church who wrote, and he said to those saints that a Hebrew in Romans chapter 2, verse 28, a Hebrew is not one who is one by outward appearance, but he went deeper. He said it is by the inward circumcision of the heart, which means, therefore, when he spoke to that, he upgraded it to speak to the fact that Yahweh can incorporate into the nation of Israel, Ephesians 2, those who are not the brown original people, but they can be adopted into this fold once they cut away a certain degree of thinking. And that thinking has to be that I am going to disconnect myself from that which I once knew to be, let's say, for example, I'm Caucasian, somebody may say, or I'm Filipino. He said you have to circumcise your heart to be in a position, your mind, to be in a place whereby you accept that you are in the fold by adoption of those who are truly Hebrew people. And that's quite a mouthful, but it's scripture. He said you can be Hebrew by the cutting away of certain things in your mind. But originally speaking, Yahweh had made covenant with Abraham, and that covenant, he said, your people, through you, nations of the world shall be blessed. And those people we know were not living in Germany. Those people were living in the Middle Eastern region. And so the way they look matters. Shaul said he's a Benjaminite. The apostle Shaul in scripture said, I'm of the tribe of Benjamin. Why is that important? Because he spoke of his love for his own people Israel. He said, I'm prepared to be lost so that my people can be free. Therefore, I submit to you that the issue with the Germans, the Nazis, the Germans, and those who were Caucasian looking in the Holocaust was not about Hebrew people. It was about Jewish people as they were labeled. It was not about Hebrew people. The Hebrew people are people of covenant. They're people of a particular connection with Yahweh. They're persons who came through a lineage. And it is not labeled by Yahweh Jewish.
Interesting, very interesting, very interesting. And I think this Apostle London, this is the kind of clarity that I think is needed, and why there is a misunderstanding about people being anti-Semitic. I think this is key, and if we could cut this thing out of the show and to just promote it. And so that's why I'm asking. As you all know, as I said before, Facebook is blocking this show today. So I'm going to ask you to please to share it via WhatsApp, because I'm coming on YouTube. So if you share the link via WhatsApp, then people will be able to log on. All right. So I'm asking everybody, because this is important stuff today, and we can make a difference by sharing it. Those who are watching on Caribbean, again, welcome from the 18 different Caribbean countries. I'm going to ask you to call somebody. Pick up your phone and say, turn on the TV. I know in Barbados it's channel 9. I don't know what it is in Jamaica and what it is in Trinidad and Guyana, etc. Tell them turn on the TV, all right? So that they can watch it and we can learn. There are 150 million of us scattered, Apostle London, scattered all over the world in so many different countries. Brazil housing, most of us are in Brazil, actually.
Yes.
All over the world. And this is such a powerful message that you're sharing today about identity. This
important.
is who we are. Yeah.
It's very important, because, if I may as well, the term Semitic has to come from somewhere, and it came from somebody has to be a Semite to be Semitic. And to be a Semite or from the tribe of Shem, then it speaks to the Afro-Asiatic. And please, those of you viewing and listening, listen to me carefully. The term, you could check any dictionary of your choice. It speaks to Semitic, those who are of the Afro-Asiatic language group. Afro-Asiatic. It does not speak to Europe, It doesn't speak to North America. It speaks to a language grouping from Africa and Asia to some degree. To be a Semite, therefore, you have to fall within a particular group that would be those who know to speak that language. Ethiopians, the Arabs, the Phoenicians, the Canaanites, the Hebrew. It didn't say Jews. Check the definition carefully. Now, one German man said, no, we're going to change that. And we're going to say that anti now, just adding the prefix anti-Semitic means you don't like Jews. Now, how can that be fair? How can that be rational? Where Semitic speaks to a language group that's from a particular geographic location, Afro-Asiatic. And then a German says, no, we change it to mean you don't like Jews. And the Jews today, my sister, have said to KYRIE Irving that you are anti-Semitic because we're going to use what the German definition is. Now, hold on. Didn't the Germans kill the Jews? Yes. So how could the Jews now say, let's work with what the Germans say? It tells you quite a bit about intentions and meanings. Because that's why KYRIE said, I cannot be anti-Semitic, said he, because I know who I am. That is what drove them insane. And that got them even more angry, because how could you say that you are not anti-Semitic because you are Hebrew? Oh, they cannot live with that. Because
so really, it's about him owning his identity.
Exactly.
And I think that is what this show has brought out. And I have not heard any commentary on that. And in fairness, really, that's what is the book and the movie, Hebrews to Negroes, that's what it brought out. And KYRIE recognized his identity. And also, in fairness to Kanye West, because I heard Kanye made that statement before KYRIE, actually. Right. Kanye made that statement. Yeah, yes. He said, how are they calling me anti-Semitic? He said, I can't be anti-Semitic. How can I be against myself? Kanye said this, he said that. And so that's why I put them in the same ranking. Well, we have different feelings about Kanye, etc., but he's our brother, who's come into understanding about who he is. And that is part of what is going on. Go ahead, sir.
And thank you. And the difference between Kanye and KYRIE, as I said, is that Kanye spoke. Initially, Kanye said it how he felt. He said, hey, we have to understand that who the 12 tribes really are. I'm one of those. See, he said what he said. He didn't hold back. He said, so how can you say I'm anti-Semitic if I'm one of them? And he said, no, the Jews are controlling the media and the Jews are doing these things, but I'm Hebrew. See, Kanye spoke. The difference is that KYRIE said nothing. KYRIE simply shared a link without a word spoken. And they went for the jugular. That's why I differentiate them in that context. That Kanye, okay, he said something. KYRIE said nothing. And they went to attack him. And then he said even further, he said he was researching his name. And Kairos would be the Greek. And he said, but of course he knew. He said, my name speaks to Yahweh. And that is more trouble. Because Kanye didn't go down that road. See, KYRIE is now calling and mentioning based on his influence and his status that he knows the God of the Hebrew people. Now, when you go there, it doesn't only speak to identity, it speaks to relationship. Because he's saying, I know the name of my God. And I hope that the viewers can get this. You see, for centuries, the Hebrew people were not being told the name of their God. They're being told that you serve God. You serve God, you pray to God. If you check the glossary of, I think it's the new, the Amplified Bible, it speaks to Jehovah being the artificial name. This makes some people uncomfortable now. Just buckle up for a minute. Jehovah, and that's not me speaking here. This is what the book states in the glossary of the Amplified Bible, that Jehovah is the artificial name given to the Hebrew God. KYRIE said, no, I know my God. My God is Yahweh.
Yahweh.
And he said, you're anti-Semitic. See what they did here?
Yes.
You are anti-Semitic because now you're saying that you are this person. It's about not just about who you are, it's about who you know as well. Because I read, you see, you make me preach now. The scripture says those who know their God.
Listen, you see me step back here because I'm like, this is, listen, man, when we get off of here, Apostle London, we need to be sharing this.
I shall.
Listen, the 150, let me look in the camera. There are 150 million of us scattered all
Across
over the
world.
world.
You must
All
know who you are.
across. We must know who we are. It's very, very important. And we're right here in the Caribbean. We're in Barbados. We're in Jamaica. We're in Haiti. Yes, Haiti. We're all over. And
Definitely.
This is time. These two are used. One in entertainment, one in sports.
Correct.
They're being used right now. Yahweh is using them to uncover, to open up our eyes so we could see and understand who we are. This is our time, guys. This is it. Oh, Apostle London, go ahead.
You see, because deeper than, and I'm saying deeper than knowing who you are, KYRIE took it up a notch. He said, I don't just know who I am, but I also know who my God is. Because the scripture says, those who know their God shall be strong and shall do exploits for him. You see, you can know who you are, but if you don't know your God, then you won't be doing exploits yet. So KYRIE is now in a place whereby he's positioned to do exploits. And we're seeing that triggered across the world. The Hebrew people saying, no, this is enough here. Not the Jews, the Hebrew people saying, no, this is enough here. You are attacking us because we know who we are. And we know that you are coming after us based on who we are, but also based on what KYRIE said. Because the Hebrew people have a God by name. And he said, my name is related to my God. And I'm not ashamed to speak about who I am. And so KYRIE even named his child Elohim.
You're serious?
Yes. See the problem?
There's a
how
problem.
could you have a child whose name is Elohim?
Oh my goodness. Guys, are you hearing this? You're hearing this. Do you see what this is? Why they're not going to accept him back on that team unless they humiliate him and they break him and take that belief out of him completely.
And as you spoke to modern day lynching and buck breaking, I'm happy that you've entitled this in this manner, because it is illegal now to lynch anyone, but it is not illegal to do it to them in a different way. And as you've alluded to that. And buck breaking always directed its attention to those who are strong, to those who have influence, to those who can stand among the captured, the enslaved, and say, I'm not bowing to massa. See, that is what Kanye has done. That's what KYRIE is doing. And that is what many others have sought, even Ronald has sought to do. But they are going to attack us. There are reports that even Martin Luther King Jr., the great one as they call him, Dr. Martin Luther King, was labeled anti-Semitic. Because you're not, as long as you don't have the tag of a Jew on you in reference to the Caucasian group, and you say anything that's remotely close to making one of them upset, you're deemed anti-Semitic. Or you ask them to answer a question that they cannot answer. That's another point that one of them have made. They said, listen, we normally use this word to get out of traps. So if you attack us based on where did you come from, in reference to originally, they say you're anti-Semitic. Because they know they came from the German grouping, Europe. So if you challenge where they came from, they'll say you're anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic. I got you. Let's watch this little bit here that I watched this today, and I have to admit that I cried when I watched it. I got emotional for my people because I see that what they're doing to KYRIE for him to change his belief about who he is, his identity. And this is a scene from Kunta Kinte when they were beating him so that he would change. It would change his identity about who he is. And I tell you, Apostle London, I sat at my computer before the show started and I cried. And it's a very, very simple link, but let's just watch it and then discuss. Okay?
Sure.
I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
Lord God, help that boy. They're gonna whip him dead. What's your name? Say it. Toby. Who are you? Say your name. What's your name?
Toby.
Hi. Say it again. Say it louder so they all can hear you. What's your name?
Toby. My name is Toby.
Hi.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I'm telling you that brought tears to my eyes, Apostle London, because why? Because I saw all of these, the way it was portrayed.
Yes.
You know, I'm into the arts, I'm into media, and I thought this was so well portrayed, where all of these there that have the power to say something about this young man right now and to help him. You know, all of them that's there. The Jay-Z's, they called out Rihanna, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Nori, Diddy, you know, Skip Baylor, all of them, they're there. And not a word, they're just in fear watching what is going to happen. And the plantation owner knows that they're watching. And so, you know, the KYRIE, and in this case, Kunta had to say that his name was Toby. It's now his English name, to lose his identity. And when he said Toby, I tell you, the tears just gushed. I tell you, because that's in my mind, that's the butt breaking that is happening right now. What are your thoughts about it? What were your emotions as you watched it?
I'm so grateful that you've chosen to show that clip and to have it presented in a manner that incorporates modern day names as we know them to be, and they call celebrities and these things, because it drives a very, very strong point home. And I've stopped watching Roots, by the way. I've stopped watching Amistad. I've stopped watching that because I realized that it drove in me an anger that I didn't want to deal with at the time. Mm-hmm. And that is because I recognized that although they were movies, they were messages. And the messages that still permeate society today. And you saw it now being, this coming alive in the situation with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. Mm-hmm. Because the masters, as they're seen to be, know how to break those who are supposedly strong. Mm-hmm. Which is why I called, and I text, as a matter of fact, I text Kyrie Irving, send a message to him saying that, listen, there's an army with you, and there's strength that you have beyond what you know. Because he has to know that he would not be Toby. Mm. He should not be Toby. Because Toby, once that happens to him, you have to wait for another Kunta. Mm. And this would only stop when Kunta says that I'm Kunta even if you kill me. Mm. Because even Kunta was prepared to say something else so he could live. I'm being told in many instances, say something else. Because the politicians here, they're labeled racist in many regards, and they say, listen, if you stop speaking in this manner, you'll have so much to get. And I said I would not. Even if it cost me my life, I shall not change what I say. Further to that, I will say to you that the persons who said that the message I preach about Yeshua HaMashiach is so dangerous to what they call organized religion. They said, don't you know that these people can come after you? And I said, yes, I do. Let them do so. Because at the end of the day, I am unprepared to be Toby. Mm-hmm. See? And so what is happening with Didi and these people is that they are into an industry that they know. that they have the right to become wealthy in it, but they never have the right to have control of it. And I hope that people can get that. They don't have an issue with your becoming wealthy. They have an issue with your having control, because whoever has control controls what you say, controls what you do, controls who you are, and controls what you're called.
Mm-hmm.
That is why the Hebrew people nowadays, even in the USA, they say to you that you cannot speak freely about who you are, but you can speak freely about killing each other. You can talk about popping and the N word. I pop in this, but I shoot the head. I'll have the guns available. I could do this.
And can I just say something? That is actually one of the things that Kanye said.
Yes,
You know,
okay.
that because they control a lot of the entertainment, you know, and they encourage that, because that is what they support. They put their money behind that. But here is someone talking about their identity, and they decide that they're going to break him because he's talking about his identity.
Right.
Yeah.
Because once you understand identity, you understand control. If I never lose my identity, you cannot control me.
Wow, that is powerful.
My sister, when I'm interviewed, the first time I was on television, being interviewed by someone from the USA, they said to me, okay, please introduce yourself to the audience. And it was a live program. And I said, fine, no problem. Now, they didn't know what I was about to say, but they asked me to introduce myself. So I said, okay, if you ask me to introduce, I shall. I am Nigel London, name given, the son of Walter London and Errol London, but also the son of those who were kings and princesses. And he said, what? I said, yes, I'm not the son of a slave. And there was a holy hush. I said, you would not have me define myself as being the son of a slave. What I will do is speak for reparation because of what my father, not forefather, because my father is the first person who would have had the seed for me in him. So I said, whatever you did to my father, you pay me or my generation for it. And this is important for us to know, that as long as you know who you are and you have a very strong sense of your identity, nobody can control you. Now, they can harm you, they can injure you, they can persecute you, they can imprison you, but they can never control you. Neither can they free you if you know who you are. Because what they want to do to KYRIE, Irving, and Kanye West is to say, listen, we're going to free you from this bondage if you accept what we say you are.
Right.
See, you'll have economic relief if you accept what we say and you
what we say you are.
See?
Wow.
And you do not give control in that arena. And Kanye is standing, because Kanye has got now, he said he wants to reignite what is called Black Wall Street. Kanye has got some ideas that are beyond what the average African, I say Hebrew for so many of us are, can really grasp, because they're afraid to think that it's possible.
Yes.
But we have got economic power beyond most, which is why the slave masters, as they were called, figured out, and it's only recently this happened in, I think, in the 17th century, where they began to say, listen, we're going to now distinguish people by race or ethnicity. It didn't happen before. It was first by geography. Where are you from?
Right. You see, but there is a plan. There is a plan.
Exactly.
Now let me just break you a little bit, and let's look at Jay Williams. You know, and what he has to say, because I find that that more and more Black men are rallying around KYRIE and Kanye, because they realize what is happening. And this is a call to us, the 150 million of those of us in the diaspora, those of us whose ancestors came over on those boats, on those ships. So we want to speak to all of us. And then the question is, are we going to stand around and watch this happen to our Hebrew brother? Let's listen to him.
Every day of my life, I approach it with a state of empathy, right? Regardless of what color, what creed, what race you are, I look at people as human beings. I think that's important. But life is always about taking a stand and holding principles. So I want to explain what I feel like my stance is as a Black male in this world, okay? And conversations that I've had with my brothers and sisters in the Black community. And I want you guys to empathize with it and hear me on it. So when I hear what Kyrie Irving has to go through in order to be reinstated, I'm appalled. I'm appalled. And let me give you examples of how I feel like we don't have the same energy and hold other people who have dealt with racial tropes accountable. So when Sarah Silverman does blackface, or when Don Imus says nappy-headed hose, or when Howard Stern calls somebody the N-word in the skit, or when Brett Favre takes money from the state of Mississippi, we don't ask them to get sensitivity training. We don't ask them to donate $500,000. We don't ask them to meet with the Black National Caucus. They apologize. And then, you know what? The rest of the world moves on. But what I feel like is happening here, and that's how in the Black community, like we've been told that's how the process works, right? Think about that, Britt. That's how the process works. Oh, somebody does a blackface. Oh, it was a misunderstanding. We got it. Okay. You know, is that person really racist? Probably not. Was it ignorant? Probably so. Okay. We understand it. We move forward. We don't like it. We would love to hold them accountable. But society and having a lot of Black people in positions of power, we don't have the governability to do that. But what we feel like happens with Kyrie is even after an apology, it's not enough. We feel like there needs to be more. And a lot of people I've spoken to over the last couple of days talk about this thing. Older mentors of mine talk about buck breaking. It's so we talk about tropes. This is something that we feel like in the Black community that happened way back in the day, where if there was a slave that was defiant, right, he got broken in front of everybody in order to show that he was not in a position of power. And that at the end of the day, he had to do what he was told to do because that's what was mandated of him. And there's a bigger situation going on. What's happening with Kyrie Irving? If the Nets don't want him to be there, just say you don't want him to be there. But we should hold everybody accountable, even owners of teams accountable with things that are happening in other countries, i.e. China and Uyghurs and the Muslim genocide that is occurring, that we hear Enes Kanter talk about. But we don't keep the same energy for everybody. We pick and choose what conversational points we want to make more polarizing. And I might lose my job. I might lose deal opportunities in the future for speaking out about even the platforms that continue to promote and profit a movie that is considered anti-Semitic to billions of people. They don't have to be accountable. Who is accountable? But we're going to put everything on the shoulders of Kyrie Irving, who, even though he said, I cannot be anti-Semitic because if I know where I came from, stating that he's one of the 4 lost tribes. He's saying that Blacks and Jews come from the same entity, the same thing. But we don't want to understand nuance. We want to be triggered by words, and we like fire, and we like things that are, you know, going viral on social media, and everybody has some kind of hot take, and we're calling people idiots, and we're calling people names because that's what we do. We just destroy each other. I ain't gonna destroy each other, man. I'm not gonna do that. Is Kyrie Irving anti-Semitic? Hell no. Could he have gone about it maybe a different way? That's what I would have advised him to do. But I'm not gonna let you guys sit out here and make this dude out to be like he is a villain, like he is a bad person. He is looking to explore his heritage. Now you can crucify me if you want. I don't give a damn anymore. It's time for people to start speaking out with nuance and speaking out on the principles they stand for.
Wow. There it is. There it is again. And he basically summing up what we're saying here,
Yes.
Apostle Nigel. What are your thoughts on that?
I was so happy when I first came across this because it speaks to, as I said, there are others who have risen now, understanding who we are and understanding that there's more to what has happened to Kyrie and Kanye than just what meets the eye. And Jason powerfully, but I must say with much pain that Jalen Rose, another one who was a basketball star, he's called, he said, not speaking up for Kyrie, that listen, you must know that you have a boss. this is the worst I've ever heard from a man. He should have been added to the Kunta Kinte group. He said, you must know, there's freedom of speech in the US, but you must know that there are consequences that come based on what you say. And also you must know that you have a boss, and that your boss may not like what you say. So be careful of what you say. Now, how can anyone, and he's African like us too, but look at what he says, compared to another basketball star, as he's called in Jason Williams. Because Jason realized that this is not about basketball. And this is not about any boss either. This is about somebody saying to KYRIE Irving that you should not go into thinking or talking about who you really are and you're one of the lost tribes. You're not going there with you. Just like the woman told LeBron James, just bounce, dribble, and shut up. And I was mad when she said that. I was very upset when she said that, a Caucasian, but now I said she's right. Because LeBron James, that's exactly what he did initially. He was just dribbling and saying nothing until he was called out by other players to say, listen, you have influence. And what Kendrick Perkins said to LeBron was, listen, you have influence. Use it. In other words, stay off the court. If LeBron says tonight, we are not playing any more basketball until you treat KYRIE right, I promise you the whole league will crumble.
That's it.
Because he's the face of the league.
And that's it. That's it. And I think that this is a moment. This is a moment. This is a very important moment for Black America. And we here in the other parts of the diaspora, we are looking at them and we're hoping. We are just hoping that Kobe, that KYRIE doesn't lose his idea, doesn't say, or Kunte doesn't say, I am Toby. We're hoping that he holds out, and doesn't do more than what he's done already. And we know Kanye is not going to do it, right? We know Kanye is not. They're not going to get him to do it, and we're hoping that Kobe doesn't do that. If you remember, go ahead. Sorry about that,
but because you spoke to how many Africans, 150 million of us are scattered. Hebrew people are scattered all across the world, and the dominant portion by proportion is in Brazil. And I'm happy you said that, because people need to know something about Brazil. Do you know that in Brazil, they were treated, we're still being treated as though we don't even belong. The complexion of your skin gives you worth in Brazil. And the lighter you are, the more power you have. Look at who is the president. Do you see how Brazilian presidents look? Because even in Argentina, they have totally almost wiped out those of dark complexion, because there's something among these people that says, if you are of the darker group and you are from the Hebrew tribes and so on, you are not accepted. And I want to appeal to those of you among this 150 million people across the Caribbean and across the world. If every one of us make an individual decision, an independent decision, that we are not going to accept being stepped on by anybody, gradually we begin to be connected yet again. And all of Yaakov's children shall find their way home.
Wow, that is powerful. I did say that I wanted to talk also just quickly in terms of the Caribbean. Is this awakening happening in the Caribbean? We just take another 10 minutes. I know those who on Carib Vision that we have to sign off in 2 minutes, but let's just talk a little 10 minutes and just talk about the Caribbean and the awakening. You're in Guyana. What's happening in Guyana as it relates to this awakening, and what is your sense about the rest of the region?
I believe that there is an awakening. Even in Haiti, there's an awakening, because persons have realized that, and I've spoken for the group in Haiti ad nauseum, because they've suffered immensely. The injustice against Haiti continues. What France has done to Haiti is completely an atrocity. It is certainly, as far as I'm concerned, a crime against humanity. And so, but there's an awakening among people who are saying, no, we know who we are. In Guyana, there are people who are saying, thank you. They speak to me every so often and say, thank you, because we're beginning to realize who we are. There are those who are Guyanese, but in the diaspora who are saying, thank you. We recognize who we are. And because of that, they've begun to, as I said, there's now a homecoming happening here for us. Even in Caribbean, we recognize that we are not what people said we are. We have another identity, or we have a true identity, I should say.
Right.
And we are coming into that gradually. There's a price to be paid. Many of them have recognized it. And what I'm relieved about is that there are those who are prepared to pay it. I have children, a young daughter who's 16 years old, 15 years old, and what she said to me is so powerful, in that she recognizes who she is. So even with her hair, and it may seem simple, but she says, this is my hair. I don't have to change it to have the name to be accepted by anybody. This is me. And I said, go ahead, baby. That's who you are. Because you must recognize who you are. Once you know who you are, they can't control you. So it's happening across the Caribbean. If you look at people in the Caribbean, many of them, even the women, they're slanting towards a different look. Even how they dress is beginning to change gradually. The demands in Guyana, and I'm happy you asked the question, they're saying among us here, listen, we're African. The children are saying that. Although they don't have it as saying the Hebrew yet, but they're getting it. They say we're African. My natural hair is me. So our children have begun to argue to say, give me the right to wear my natural hair because it's who I am. There is an awakening. And I'm happy that I'm able to live to see that it's occurring. And I can continue to be a voice, if possible, to speak to that awakening and to encourage us.
We want you to continue to be a voice. You know, somebody, just before we close, somebody is saying here, Ralph Wolf, and he's in St. Lucian, and he says that in St. Lucia, unfortunately, husband and I, okay, so it's a female, moved back from Australia recently to find her folk are asleep and lost in Christianity. And I think I wanted to spend the next, 3 minutes to talk about this, because I think there is a misunderstanding out there that if you are a Christian, you cannot embrace your Hebrew identity. Because we must make it clear that KYRIE is identified as a Muslim, okay, and Kanye as identified as a Christian, but they're both talking about their Hebrew identity. I identify as a Christian, and you identify as a Christian, Apostle London. Can you speak to that, please?
I surely can. I'm happy that persons are coming forth with the question, because it has a lot to do with what Christianity is defined as and who is defining it. If the Catholic's definition is being used, then we may have a challenge, because you have to confront a particular calendar that subscribes to Catechism. And that's the problem that I perceive this viewer has, in that what is called Christian is controlled by Rome. See, but Yahweh has said you are saints of mine, you are sons of the living God. And when you hear that, or holy ones, also is a definition given to us. When you hear that terminology, it brings a difference in reference to the Hebrew mind. Because the Hebrew mind says, in reference to who we are, KYRIE speaking, listen, I know my God. And because I know my God, I know that he is not controlled by Rome. He's not controlled by a culture. And that's why I spoke earlier to what people said to me, that if I speak the way that I do when I'm preaching, I'm coming up against what they call organized religion. And I said to them, you have to come up against that, because you must know who you are. In reference to Toby, I can say this without reservation as well. There's a particular argument raised, and it's old but still powerful. And that is, what name did Yahweh give to his son? The name given is Yeshua HaMashiach, Yeshua the Messiah. But like Kunta, somebody sought to change that name to adopt it to, or have it suited to a culture. And that may be what this view has a problem with as well, in that who can change the name of the Hebrew Messiah to a European name to adjust to European culture? For that I say that on the coast of Africa, our fathers, I don't call them forefathers, when they stood at the door and the gate of no return, they saw a ship coming from Britain. The name of that ship was the Good Jesus of Lubeck. The ship was chartered by the Queen. Can you imagine that I'm standing here to be sold, already being sold, and my first encounter with this name is that it's taking me away to sell me,
Mm.
to be sold. And that is why when the Negro spirituals would sing and say, I'm waiting for swing low, sweet chariot, come to take me home, they're singing about that ship. They wanted to go back home because they knew that they were not European, and they knew that from where we came, our God had a name and his son had a name. So to that viewer, I say that it is not Christian label that's the problem. It is who is labeling it and who controls that narrative. The Catholics don't control my narrative because my New Year does not begin on January 1st. It began at Rosh Hashanah because I know who I am. I don't celebrate Christmas because I know who I am. I celebrate no Catholic holiday because I know who I am. And I pray that this awakening will ignite across the world. My brothers and my sisters, as I say again to you, if you're seeing what I'm doing to you, there's a homecoming for us. And once we get home, nobody can control us with labels and tags anymore because we know who we are. And because we know who we are, we can always be home.
Wow. Let's get home. 150 million of us.
Come
the
home.
150 million of us who, when we read the Bible, we said the God of Jacob and the God of Isaac, right? And the God of David. Listen, that's our ancestor we're talking about
there. You go.
There.
There you go.
150 million of us with the God of Jacob, the God of Isaac, yeah, the God of Abraham. The Bible is our history book, guys, and we're coming home. It's a consciousness, a level of consciousness. And so I'm speaking into the spirit of the 150 million of us all over this world. And I say, time to come home. Yes,
it is.
To that brother in St. Lucia, and you're saying that the people there are not listening, share this with them. Because Apostle London, you were so amazing today. You broke it down. And I loved it. It was like a teaching, and many times I just felt my spirit exploding. And you know, and to those of you, remember, you need to find the Amazon link to the Hebrews to Negroes, because we're going to use this to our advantage. Our brother that made this film, you know, they have shut down everything for him, Apostle London. His Vimeo is shut down. They went after his YouTube page. They, of course, everything, Facebook, every single thing. He has children to feed. I know him personally. And I'm saying, guys, instead of sharing his work free on Facebook, we had to try to shut down a black brother who was promoting his thing free on Facebook today. Go ahead, quick, before they shut down Amazon, and try and get this, guys. But don't do it for free. Don't put it out for free. Support Ronald Dalton. He is a black brother. He's a Hebrew. And the reason that Amazon has not taken it down there, because it took them, Apostle London, 3 months. 3 months. Right, to verify and to fact check this before they put it on their site.
Exactly.
And an agreement was signed between them and Ronald Dalton. So this is going to cause a lot of legal issues. So there's a reason, you see, Amazon is not able to take it down just yet, because they took 3 months to determine, because Amazon doesn't work like other sites. They are going to vet the movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how Amazon is going to deal with it when they took 3 months before they put it up. So I say to the 150 million souls who are up there, Hebrews, go on and get this and watch it for yourself and be enlightened today. Hebrews to Negroes, go find it and support him. Do not bootleg it. Yeah? Right. Do not bootleg it, and let this brother, because we don't know what legal ramifications, Apostle London, he's going to have later down. We don't know what they're going to do to him. So we want to make sure his children are taken care of.
Exactly.
Come on, Hebrews. We're going to make sure his children are taken care of. Go ahead and support him, okay? So God bless you all for coming on today. Thank you, Apostle London, and everybody else who is signed on. And let's continue to share it. Yes? God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.